Sit rolling around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
Cinematopical back on another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. New video. We're taking genres and giving them their own Oscars. And Halloween season, we're doing the horror Oscars. He's going to tell you how it works, and then we'll get into it.
So we'll go category by category. We each have 3 nominations that we have chosen. We don't know what the other person's nominations are, so if there's some overlap, then there'll just be less nominations in that category. But the 6 categories that we chose to do, because we're not going to do every single category that the Oscar gives out, are Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Cinematography.
In the category of cinematography, from Strange Wang's nominations, we got Midsommar, The Shining, and Lamb.
Cool. So we only have one gap, or one overlap. So my nominations were The Shining. In this one, I had a feeling kind of what direction you were going to go. I didn't know about Lamb. I dig that, though. So I picked some kind of off-the-wall ones because I do think they're beautifully shot movies. So I went with The Shining, It Follows, and Annihilation.
Annihilation was one that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But to me, we're talking about every horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to focus more on pure horror.
Sure.
Unless something was just too crazy. Like, I can't ignore this. Mm-hmm. Like a horror comedy or a horror romance, if they have those.
Yeah.
So
I'm upset. I've never seen either of them, but and I probably won't because I'm a scared little boy. But when I was looking through cinematography stuff, I really wish that I had seen Suspiria. But
Suspiria,
sorry. Suspiria is a different movie.
Which one?
Either of them. They both look beautiful just from the stills that I've seen. But
the 60s, it's not that scary. I watched it.
Oh.
Did I jump a couple times? Yeah, I jumped a couple times, but it wasn't like that type of.
Sure.
I own the new one. I just haven't watched it.
Anyways, I haven't seen them, so I didn't nominate them.
Well, I guess it's pretty easy. The Shining, best cinematography.
Yeah, I think that's the answer for sure. I thought about Midsommar, but I also wanted to give like some props to like how difficult it was to achieve that level of cinematography, and that bumped Midsommar for me because it's shot pretty much entirely in the daylight, and it's so much easier to get good shots during daytime. Not that, there's still a ton of talent involved in that. I'm not knocking anything, but like, yeah, I dig The Shining. I think it's the correct answer.
Probably showing back up on this list. Next, we have screenplays. So, Strange Wang's nominations for best horror screenplays is going to go for David Robert Mitchell for It Follows, Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson for Scream, Jordan Peele for Get Out are my nominations.
So my 3, we actually have 6 this time, so it's gonna be great.
Okay, cool.
My 3 are Ari Aster for Hereditary, Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb for Jaws, and Joseph Stefano for Psycho.
Okay, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, some heavy hitters.
Yep.
So It Follows for me, the reason why it made mine is because it took a message so simple, and me personally, I know not for everybody, it made it work.
Yeah.
You took a message and made it a horror movie with the whole AIDS thing. So to me, it didn't come off corny. I know some people will disagree with that, but I liked it a lot. So
same.
It made it for me.
Yeah.
Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson, they made the first meta horror movie really with Scream. Props to that. Jordan Peele for Get Out. I think it's just a masterclass in writing, thriller, suspense.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So Hereditary, to be able to blend all of this family drama in with a horror movie and do it so seamlessly, was incredible writing to me, because you're getting into the lives of this family in an incredibly deep way, And there are plenty of movies of every genre, but there are plenty of horror movies that give you like a touch of like the inside of people's lives as they're going through this thing. But Hereditary just dives so deep into it. Obviously, the dinner table scene is like the big one, but it goes beyond that too. Like her conversations with herself, her conversations with her husband, like her and her son's one-on-one conversations, like the scene at the party. When she's talking to the crazy neighbor lady who's a part of the whole shit and she doesn't know about it. Like, all of that to me just really connects super deeply and is well written to where you're just as interested in that as you are the rest of the plot. So, I nominated it for that. Jaws, I never expected it to win, but I felt like it deserved a nomination just because there's so much dialogue in that movie that is just so, like, engaging and interesting. Like, Jaws might be one of the most quoted horror movies of all time. And it's not just because of how famous the movie is. The movie made itself famous because the writing in that movie is so good. So I think it deserved enough respect to at least get a nomination. And then Psycho, even though it's like a way older film, it has some of those same elements, but it's just like the inner monologue of Homie that you get occasionally, like their interactions, the conversations between the people who are trying to find the girl and all that kind of stuff. I think it's incredibly well written. And if in older movies like that, we talk about this semi-frequently, they rely so heavily on their dialogue to carry the film because special effects were really lame back then. And you don't have all that. Like, you have to have good conversational characters to carry a movie. And Psycho is one of the most famous and important horror movies of all time. And a huge part of that is because of the script that was written for that film.
Okay. You gave me an idea with your Jaws take.
Yeah.
We personally knock one off of each of our list.
Okay.
And give it to 4.
All right.
So I'm taking It Follows off the table.
Okay.
Because not everyone likes that.
Sure.
And I feel more confident in the other two.
Yeah.
On a wider space.
Sure. That's fair. And yeah, I would knock Jaws off mine.
All right. Now, if there's one that you have to pick of mine to win, what is it? Scream or Get Out?
I would say Get Out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have
Hereditary and Psycho.
I would pick Psycho to win.
Okay.
So, Get Out or Psycho. I'm leaning towards Psycho just because of, like, both these movies rely on the twist.
For sure.
I feel like having it so early and having 2 different movies gives the edge to Psycho because the twist pays off much harder.
Okay.
And it has multiple twists in it.
Yeah.
That are surprising.
Yeah. And so the funny... Well, yeah.
I knew Homegirl was... Well, she didn't really love him. Like...
Well, yeah.
That wasn't much of a twist.
I will say Get Out has one of the best trailers of the last decade because it didn't tell you too much. Yeah, I think these are great. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't even think of Get Out when I was looking at screenplay. I think that's a great choice. Man. That's really hard for me.
Because it is very difficult.
Yeah, because I agree with everything you're saying, but then I think about like the specific dialogue in Get Out, like especially the writing for the parents. I think it's just like incredible to add that it's got to be, maybe not from Jordan Peele's perspective, because he is in fact a black man and I am not, but to write like the stupid, I would have voted Obama for a 3rd term if I could have, and like just all the dumb, like just racist enough shit that they say all came from his head, and that is really impressive to me. So
I feel like personally a lot of black comedians, him being a black comedian, like Dave Chappelle,
sure,
Richard Pryor,
to
me that's nothing new.
Fair.
So I personally wasn't as impressed with it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go Psycho. I think that's...
All right. Best horror screenplay is going to Psycho. Next, we have Best Director for Strange Wang. We got Alfred Hitchcock for Psycho, Steven Spielberg for Jaws, and Jonathan Demme, I believe is how you pronounce it, for Silence of the Lambs.
Interesting. So I have Stanley Kubrick for The Shining.
Okay.
I had Jordan Peele for Get Out. And I had Astor for Hereditary.
Wow. Yeah. Nothing in common.
Nothing.
Me with the classics. You with a classic and two very modern horror films.
Yeah. Do you wanna do the same thing and knock it down to 4?
I think that was... Well, I'm going to go through mine first, like we did last time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Psycho is Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Master Suspense. Some of the most greatest teachable things in cinema came from this film. Shower scene, the editing, all from his brain. Steven Spielberg's Jaws, opening scene is a masterpiece. To me, Jaws is a perfect movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to put it on there. Silence of the Lambs tells such a great story within the directing and where Jonathan puts the camera and everything.
Yeah.
Little things, little nuances makes this movie so fucking good.
Mm.
Like, it would have been a good movie, but this is a great movie because of those nuances.
Yeah.
That go unnoticed because they're not in your face. Like, people look down on her because she's a woman, so you pan the camera down. Stuff like that, I had to put it on there. Had to. So, what's your reasonings behind your 3?
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I need to over-explain Kubrick's directing in The Shining. I mean, it's one of the most studied films for what you can do with cameras and like all that kind of stuff in history. Danny riding the tricycle is incredible. Like the stuff that he puts in the background of so many shots that people are still debating what the F the meaning of is today. The hatchet in the bathroom scene, him slowly creeping up the stairs after Shelley Duvall. Like there's so many, just that movie's incredible. The freaking blood out the elevator. Like, everything is framed so meticulously and perfectly because he's Stanley Kubrick and he's probably a little bit crazy and probably has OCD and, like, a plethora of... Great art seems to always come from people with a shit ton of problems. And I think it's very easy to say that Stanley Kubrick probably has a shit ton of problems or had a shit ton of problems. But he made art because of it. Peele, for this to be a directorial debut, I think is absolutely incredible. And because, in my opinion, you did better than really pretty much most other people working could have done. And so, Get Out's a lot of the same thing. It's a lot of the framing, like choices and color palette, getting the right angles. Like, I think the scene that stands out to most from me is, like, not just the sunken place, but, like, the start of that scene when they're just sitting, the two of them there, and, like, the back and forth between them. Knowing when to go close up on his face, knowing when to leave it a little further out. I just don't think that if anyone else directs that movie, it's nearly as good as what it ends up being. And then Hereditary is just an absolutely beautiful movie, not just from a cinematography standpoint, but like the wide angle when he's on fire, the close up on Wolf's face throughout a bunch of different scenes, the way that he chose to shoot Charlie getting her head knocked off, like that was just incredible to me. And the choice that they made for the scene following about like he just goes to bed. And like her finding it the next day, all of that is just like incredibly skillful, in my opinion. So,
all right, I was thinking while you were talking,
and
out of Psycho, Jaws, and Silence of the Lambs, Alfred Hitchcock is getting bumped off.
Wow,
my list.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I was thinking about that where you were talking about Psycho and Hitchcock, because it's like, obviously we're doing all of this is retrospective because it's all for stuff that's already come out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know so many of the things that he did and like basically invented to make that movie work. But if I didn't know that, would I be as impressed with the directing of it? And I think the answer is no, but I do know it, so I am impressed with the directing of it. And so that was tough.
It's very tough.
Yeah. I think I'm going to bump Aster and Hereditary off mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that leaves you with
Kubrick and Peele. And you have Jaws and
Silence of the Lambs.
So we're doing the same thing where you pick one of mine and I pick one of yours. Yeah. I'm picking Jaws. Easily. All day for me.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Out of my list, I would have picked Silence of the Lambs to win. So that's a bummer for me. Damn. Because I want to say Kubrick, but he just leaves so much vagueness. And it's like...
But it's so I love that. Personally.
Jordan Peele put a lot of detail in the background of Get Out.
Mm-hmm. People also, and I'm not trying to like talk you one way or the other. It just made me think of this. But people also like retroactively invented a bunch. Like there's stuff that people pointed out in that movie that he has straight up been like, I didn't do that on purpose. Like Homegirl eating the Fruit Loops one at a time.
There's no way.
And then, but someone made the comment that like, that's how she views the world so much that she won't even let something colored touch something white. And he's just like, he literally got on Twitter and was like, that's a really great observation. I wish I had done that on purpose. I just thought it was like kind of a weird little quirk for her character to have.
Yeah. I hate this. Shining's a better movie, so I'm going Shining.
I think that's the correct pick. And like I feel like it's the layup. Like it's so easy to take Kubrick for pretty much anything, but like sometimes that's because it's correct.
I'm also picking Kubrick to win, though.
I am too. I really do think it's right.
It's more horror than Jaws. Jaws has so many other elements.
Yeah.
It's a better movie.
Well,
but this is a horror Oscar list.
Yeah. And this is also like it's half a knock to Spielberg's directing in Jaws, but also at the same time a praise to Spielberg's directing in Jaws.
That the shit just didn't work.
But
you had to make the best
so
of it.
much of Jaws didn't go the way he wanted to. But I think that to be able to adapt like that shows your prowess as a director. But also it's not what you intended. So it's like what would Jaws have been if Spielberg had gotten everything the way he wanted, you know?
Yeah.
But
so the Oscar for Best Director goes to Stanley Kubrick for The Shining. Next we have Best Actress. Strange Wang, I have Linda Blair as Reagan from The Exorcist. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie from the original Halloween. And Toni Collette as Annie Graham from Hereditary.
Yeah. So I also have Toni Collette from Hereditary. I went with Florence Pugh for Midsommar, and I went ahead and went Shelley Duvall for The Shining.
Well,
yeah,
overlapping makes this very easy. Toni Collette,
yeah,
best horror performance as Annie from Hereditary. She gets the Oscar for Best Actress,
which makes me really freaking happy because she didn't even get freaking nominated for that shit in real life. And that's a travesty. So
it is. Next one, we might have some overlap. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I only have like 8 horror movies I like, and only like 5 of those I think are Oscar worthy, so I just have like a ton of overlap on all of mine. But
I made a rule for myself. I could only use everything once. I mean, twice.
oh, okay.
So if it got used twice, I couldn't reuse it. So, Best Actor, my nominations are Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, Noah Wiseman as Samuel in The Babadook. That's the kid if you don't know.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance in The Shining.
Yeah. Well, I also have Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance in The Shining. But my other two were Alex Wolff for Hereditary and Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. So, and also, man, you just couldn't. I don't think you could ever convince me to pick a child actor.
Bro, he's so fucking annoying in that movie. Like, he was like, hey, I need you to act this way. And he nailed it. Like, you seen Babadook, right?
Yeah.
That kid's fucking annoying.
He is very annoying.
You want to drop kick that kid.
She wants to drop kick that kid sometimes.
And that was his role.
Yeah.
He nailed it very, very well. So Robert Englund's Freddy's iconic. It's funny.
I think that's a good pick. Like I think it did take a considerable amount of skill to play Freddy Krueger.
Like you have to have someone with charisma.
Yeah.
But usually you think of charisma, you think of someone handsome, like Brad Pitt-esque. This is Freddy Krueger, so you got to match that tone and everything.
For sure.
So again, the overlapping takes it. Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance gets the Oscar for Best Actor. Which I probably wouldn't have picked him out of mine 3. What about you?
If I had to knock one off, I would have knocked Alex Wolff off, which would have left him and Daniel Kaluuya. But I still would have picked him.
Okay.
I think it's
grand finale. Best Picture. Take it away. What are your nominations?
Bet you can't guess what my 3 movies are. So my picks are The Shining. It's easily my favorite horror movie of all time, and I think it definitely deserves to be up there. Hereditary, which is my second favorite horror movie of all time, and not just because I like it. It's absolutely incredible. But my third nomination was in fact Jaws, because I do think it is a horror movie, and I agree with you that it is in fact a near perfect movie. So
you have Jaws, Shining, and Hereditary?
Yeah.
I wish I could change my list.
Yeah. Because
the one I want to win is not on yours. And I do think it's the greatest horror movie of all time. So I'm very mad.
Nosferatu?
No. Honestly, you know what was very close to making mine?
What?
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Oh!
That was very close to actually making my best picture. It wasn't a 1.
Yeah.
But I think it would deserve to get a nomination.
I dig it.
I feel like there wasn't enough horror movies to do it animated.
Mm-hmm.
We could add that on later, but for me, Jaws got nominated for Best Picture. Hereditary also nominated for Best Picture. The greatest horror movie of all time in my mind. Like, it hits the horror element more than Jaws.
Ghoul School?
No. Train to Busan.
Huh.
So much heart, the horror, the terror.
Yeah.
It has everything.
I didn't even think about Train to Busan. I probably would have thrown it on for...
And it's scary.
A couple things. That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
But at least we have 2 overlapping, so there's no default winner. I mean, unless you think one of the answers is just clear.
Jaws is a much better movie than Hereditary. Hereditary is a better horror movie. But they have so much overlapping stuff with the family dynamic that... Like, you have a film that made people scared to get in water.
It's true.
And you have a film that everyone really liked when it came out.
Well, and I also think it, like... Hereditary did... Like, A24 started it already. Like, It Follows definitely, like, got some buzz. But I feel like Hereditary really kind of burst horror back onto this, like, independent, like, horror can be art scene outside of just, you know, your horror comedies, your typical slashers. Like, I feel like there was just a big period there for a while where, like, every horror movie was either, like, garbage horror, which some people really like. I'm not even knocking its existence. Or it was like The Conjuring, or like, you know, so
Mainstream.
it's still very
Yeah.
they're good movies, but it's still very mainstream. And then Hereditary just kind of kicked in the door that a couple other movies had already like started putting cracks in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, horror can be art. And so I think it's an incredibly important horror movie. And so it is tough between the two.
Yeah, it's very tough.
And I don't even think it's like...
There's not a wrong answer.
Hereditary came out in 2016?
I believe 2016.
And so I feel like it's not... I don't even think you can use the recency argument. I think it's like been out long enough to be in the conversation. Obviously not nearly as long as Jaws, but...
Yeah.
My heart says Jaws, though.
My heart was going Hereditary, actually.
You want rock, paper, scissors for it? I mean, we don't have someone who can split our Oscar. The Academy is split.
Yeah. So.
But Hereditary is... No, I'm switching. Hereditary is just straight up a horror movie.
Okay.
Jaws wasn't even intended to be a horror movie.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg has never made a movie that he intended to be a horror movie.
Okay.
And so I think for this specific Oscar, it should be Hereditary out of those two. I think it should be The Shining, which I know is like...
Which is funny because the one I would have picked is Train to Busan.
Yeah.
So the ones we did overlap were our picks.
Yeah.
So the best horror film of all time, the Best Picture Oscar, is going to Hereditary. Which, congrats to it. I thought this video was going to be...
No, it wasn't even on our list.
Very funny. I thought this video was going to be like a fucking mess.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be shambles. I actually thought it turned out really good. I enjoyed this video.
Yeah, me too.
We hope you enjoyed it as well. I'm going to do more of these. The next one you will see will actually not be another holiday one. It's going to be a Christmas Oscar theme video. But let us know your picks, what should have won down in the comment section below. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.